Francis.
Here.
Trustee Schiappa.
Here.
Trustee Pavesa.
Here.
Trustee Snyder.
Here.
Trustee Matal. Here. Trustee Smith.
Here.
Mayor Grasso.
Here.
Everybody's here.
That takes us to the consent agenda. An item shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one trustee or anyone present at the meeting. Those items marked with an asterisk are considered the consent agenda. A roll call shall be taken on the approval of the consent agenda and recorded in the minutes as an omnibus vote. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be discussed by the board, open for public comment, and voted upon during this meeting. Are there any items that anybody wishes to remove from the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'd like to have 8G and 8H pulled.
Anyone else? Okay. Minutes. A, approval of regular board meeting of September 25, 2023. B, receive and file plan commission meeting of October 16, 2023. 6, ordinances. A, approval of an ordinance approving a variation from section 6D of the zoning ordinance to permit a corner side yard setback of 30 feet instead of a minimum of 40 feet as required. V 03-2023 7703 Hamilton is Wasnets. In Wanets, I'm sorry. B, approval of an ordinance amending section 4 and 9B, 14B of the zoning ordinance to define and prohibit short-term rentals, Z 07-2023 text amendment short-term rentals. 7, resolutions, approval of a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Burr Ridge and Cook County for the provision of environmental health inspection services. 8, considerations. D, approval of a contract with BLA for engineering services for the 83rd Street resurfacing project in the amount of $143,914. E, approval of a contract for well sealing services to Lane Christensen Company of Aurora in the amount not to exceed $40,350. And F, approval of a 1-year contract extension for municipal adjudication software with DACRA Tech LLC in the amount of $24,000. Can I get a motion for the following items on the consent agenda? 5A and B, 6A and B, 7A, 8D, E, and F.
So moved.
Second.
I have a movement and a second. Any discussion at the board level? Any comment from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder.
Yes.
Trustee Matal.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Francis.
Yes.
Trustee Schiappa.
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa.
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. That takes us on the consent agenda to 8G and H. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to bring to light to our residents the amount of FOIA requests that I came across. We have over $12,161 of FOIA requests in this meeting alone that's presented tonight. This is money that could be used for our roads. This is money that could be used for our sidewalks. And from what I understand from Evan Walter, it's 1 or 2 individuals that's doing all these FOIA requests. This is something that we as a village have to take care of financially. And if we have to put more money towards the FOIA requests and all the legalese that comes behind it, it means we offer less services. So this is just something I think our residents need to be aware of. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Smith.
Follow-up comment to that.
Yes.
Those are just the hard costs. The soft costs include the time spent for our staff to put those FOIA materials together, send them. We have to get them cleared by our attorneys, make sure that we're sending the right stuff and it's within the legal bounds of the FOIA. And so those are, that's just a hard cost. You know, our soft costs are staff hours, time and energy.
Okay, thank you. With that, that'll take us to item 8G, approval of the vendor list dated October 9, 2023 for fiscal year 2024. in the amount of $225,631.32 for all funds, plus $447,932.57 for payroll periods ending September 16, 2023 and September 30, 2023, for a grand total of $673,563.89. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Movement to second. Any comment from the trustees? Any comment from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. That takes us to 8H, approval of vendor list dated October 23, 2023, for the fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $768,528.39 for all funds, plus $236,696.63 for payroll period ending October 14, 2023, for a grand total of $1,005,225.02. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a movement, a second. Any comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. Okay, that will take us to the considerations 8A, B, and C that are on the agenda tonight. A little preliminary comment from me. On November 3rd, next week from Friday, I will be a lawyer for 45 years. Over that 45-year span, I get to meet lots of lawyers. As it turns out tonight, I know the lawyers on both issues on 8A and 8B. That being said, because I do know both of them, one personally and one I was just a guest of at an event, I will not be voting on either 8A or 8B should it come to me voting. I haven't voted at this position in all the years that I've been mayor, so I don't think it's going to happen tonight, but I just want that known for the record. With that, I call the first item, 8A, consideration of a plan commission recommendation to approve and deny a request for variations V01 2023 6301 County Line Road, Zaffer. Janine?
Thank you, Mayor. The petitioners, Haley and Ray Zafar, are requesting a total of 5 variations. The lot is a corner parcel, and I have the image here pulled up on the screen for you, where the front line of the property is technically along Longwood Drive, and the corner side yard is along County Line Road. The main entrance of the home faces County Line Road. The petitioner wishes to construct a deck on the south side of the home, so along the Longwood Drive area, and also a driveway gate and a fence along County Line Road. Public hearings were held on July 17th and September 18th for this. And I just want to break down briefly the variation requests for you. So there was a variation request for that deck on the south side of the home, which was unanimously approved by the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission found that the orientation of the home posed a hardship since the side of the house, which had doors which opened up to a grassy area, was technically along the front yard, which is zoning definition of the front yard. The 3 variations for the driveway gate were all unanimously denied. The first request was to permit the driveway gate on a parcel that's less than 2 acres in lot area. The parcel is only 1.2 acres. The second one was to permit a driveway gate exceeding 6 feet in height. The driveway gate proposed was just over 7 feet in height. And the final variation request for the driveway gate was to permit it within the minimum 30-foot corner side yard setback. The petitioner wanted the gate just inside the property line along County Line Road. The final variation request was to permit a fence in the corner side yard, so along County Line Road, and that was also unanimously denied. A fence in the corner side yard is permitted, but it must meet setback requirements. For the gate and the fence variation requests, the Plan Commission determined that there were no hardships that were caused by the land where the height or the setback requirements could not be met. and that these requests were not unique to the parcel but could be generally applicable to other R2A properties. I know the petitioners are present here tonight, and we also have Plan Commissioner Joe Petrich, and we can answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. First of all, any questions right now from any of the trustees? All right, the petitioner's here. Mr. Ryan, Bill, I do know Bill. I've known Bill for forever and forever. So you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. So first of all, the petitioners drafted a 6-point letter that we sent to the village and asked to be distributed to the trustees. I don't know if the trustees have been able to get it, so can I give it to someone just to make sure?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, we did receive this.
Yes, thank you, Bill.
How you doing, Bill?
Nice to see you. Bill knows 2 lawyers?
Yes. And then I think, really, without any further ado, we're going to let the owners of the property speak to the issues that are raised by these letters.
Okay, so just to see if I get this in summary fashion, we're talking about a driveway gate, the height of a gate, and fencing near the gate.
Correct.
And all relative to County Line Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay, those are I got it all?
Yes, the two
Okay.
issues that weren't approved by the Plan Commission that you just articulated as Janine did were the gate and the fence.
Right.
Excuse me, could I have your last name, please?
My last name is Ryan, R-Y-A.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Quick note, the letter in front of you is the one I wrote for you. That's a letter that I went around with to each of my neighbors asking for their support. So just so you know, those are 2 different things, okay? So regarding our points here for tonight, regarding the fence and the gate. Lovely to meet you all. My name is Haley Zaffer. I reside at 6301 South County Line Road. We seek to put a fence on our yard and within our yard, and a gate on our driveway at our property line. I would like to point out something that's unique to our property. Our property line begins 23 feet from the curb of County Line Road. There's already a significant setback. Thank you, that's the correct term I'm looking for, before our property line even begins. We found a gate that's similar and appropriate style that complements the neighbors' existing gates as they drive down County Line. It should be noted that between I-55 and 60th Street, County Line Road has only 9 single-family homes with driveways that face the street of County Line Road. Of those 9 homes, 7 have gates. There are other homes in the area, but they are in subdivisions and protected by a fence, gated security, or other barrier. I did attach several photos in previous materials of the northbound and southbound view from our entrance. Our neighbors' gates along County Line Road, the Burr Ridge Club fence across the street from us, and a new home under construction on County Line. I can locate those for you in a moment. As you can see, okay, the gates and the fences, they're all in line with one another as they currently exist. We seek to put a gate that is similar in style. We would like to place it on our property, which again, would be significantly set back from the road, given where our property line begins, which makes us, at 23 feet, and we understand that that would have to be further back. Our primary reason for needing this gate, for us, the hardship, there's several points where there's a hardship for us. One is the security of our family, and specifically our 2 young children. My daughter is 5, her name's Zara, she just started kindergarten at Elm Elementary, and she's getting what's called an individualized education plan due to several concerning behaviors, the most relevant here being that she doesn't stop or respond to her name when called, even in dangerous situations such as traffic. Unlike our neighbors, we are in a uniquely situated lot with exposure on both County Line and Longwood Drive. It makes it so that the majority of enjoyable space is the area in the front of our house and with County Line and the side facing on Longwood. So our children can play in the yard and ride bikes in the driveway. However, due to them being so young and County Line being so busy, monitoring them for safety, particularly Zara, so they don't cross into the road can be challenging and unduly burdensome. We want our kids to play safely on our property, and a gate is the primary way of creating an appropriate safety barrier. The inability to create a safe play environment is a hardship for our family. On Wednesday, October 11th, my father-in-law, who is a 75-year-old and very spry man, I might add, was outside playing with the children. Even so outside, one of our children took off on a bike down the drive, straight towards County Line at about 5:30. And while he's fast, he's not that fast. I am fit. I am not always that fast with a kid on a bike. Most people aren't, even under the best circumstances, and that represents the very real risk that we place each day if we want to let our children play outside at all. There is a property I would like to point out for us that is similarly situated to ours in orientation along County Line at 6116, South County Line. It is a lot that is half the size of ours, but it does have 2 gates, one on County Line, one on Woodgate Drive. Previous owners requested and received a variance approval. Gosh, I have the worst. Oh, excuse me.
Take your time.
Just need these. There was a previous, thank you so much, I do appreciate that. Thank you. Previous owners requested and received a variance approval for the gate/fence, meaning previous planning commissions and city council understood the hardship and agreed a gate and a fence was acceptable. This represents a key example of how our property needs are nearly identical and an appropriate precedent for granting such a variance. I don't need to tell you that the traffic on County Line is extremely fast and busy at all hours. In fact, IDOT estimates over 11,000 cars a day pass up and down County Line Road where we are. People will pull into our driveway to turn around. It happens. We are one of only 2 unsecured driveways that allow them to do so. In fact, it makes us uniquely vulnerable because it is their first opportunity to do that, given that all other neighbors in the surrounding area have gates. This also puts an undue hardship on it that we bear the brunt of anybody else that doesn't know where they're going and can't handle GPS. In addition, it's also no secret that crime has risen in recent years, particularly related to car theft. County Line, anyone knows, a motivated individual can get to I-55 in about 2 minutes. It is also the route to the local hospital. There is not a day that goes by that I don't hear an ambulance traveling at a high rate of speed for a good reason, but still traveling at a high rate of speed. We did install a security system. And even though we did that, the high traffic on County Line triggers the video alerts, and it maxes out our recordings in about 2 days, which means that even with our existing security system that we did put in place, we can't actually monitor the entrance area for any unwanted visitors. Only 2 out of 30 days a month isn't much security. We do have adamant support from our neighbors in this matter, which was the document that was up on the screen earlier. I do have, in fact, have the signed document that shows each of the members of the Longwood subdivision that we are members of, showing that they have no issue with us having a gate and voicing their support. I will also point out that for the future that there is a home on South County Line Road that's under construction right now, just north of Plainfield. It does have a circular driveway as it stands right now with enters and exits onto County Line Road. If they were to apply for a variance for a gate, that would also need to apply for a variance regarding the setback. Based on the right-of-way and the 30-foot pool previously discussed, that would be close to their front door. It serves an example of some of the houses along County Line Road are particularly unique, specifically north of I-55. Our needs are different and distinct from the vast of Burr Ridge, which put us in this hardship position, which is, again, why we are here. Thank you so much for your time and patience and water. If there's any follow-up questions, I'm happy to.
Bill, anything further you want to add?
Do you want to say anything, Greg? The only thing I would say is, on County Line Road, under your zoning ordinance, there's a 100-foot setback. This house is 107 feet from County Line Road, so if they followed your ordinance, their fence would be 7 feet from the house. Secondly, under your ordinance, if you have 2 acres and 150 feet of frontage, you qualify for a gate. This house has 260 feet of frontage on County Line Road, but only 1.2 acres. So again, just based on the configuration of the house, it seems to be a hardship in terms of those qualifications.
Okay, let me understand, make sure I got exactly where the house is. Is there a, is that the, do you have a picture?
Do you want me to pull up an aerial photograph here?
So let's see what's in our packet. It shows its relation to Longwood. Yeah, is that it?
That's correct.
Okay, so going north, we have the Perillo House, right? They have a gate,
Yes,
and their gate is about,
it's on the sidewalk.
It butts right up
is
to
it
the
within
sidewalk.
our right-of-way, basically? It's less than 10 feet from the curb, I think, their gate.
And ask the question, how long has that gate been there?
Yeah, probably forever,
Precedes the village, annexation into the village.
yeah. And, and two gates further north to the next house too, right?
Yes.
And then we have the club across the street with a gate, and I think at least one house north of that, as you go down the hill, there's at least one gate on that one. I think the Walsh House further south has a gate, and of course, everybody's familiar with the Taj, and I think it's the Baker home next door, they all, and we've allowed gates before, so. How old are your children?
5 and 3.
Okay, which one has an issue?
My daughter Zara, she's 5.
Okay, any questions of any of the trustees? Yes.
I'd like to ask some questions of Mr. Commissioner Petrich, please.
Sure. Joe, are you here?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you state the reasons why these three variance requests for the gate were denied? What the feeling was the Plan Commission had towards these three requests?
I'd like to say that the Plan Commission was very sympathetic to the personal reasons and desires that the petitioners want. But we were looking at the code itself, the zoning ordinances, and whether there was a real hardship that we would define a hardship, and we cannot find it. If a fence is needed, you could build a fence per zoning ordinances on the southeast corner. It may not be as large, but there is a fence for safety of the children. As far as the gate goes, there are many R2A properties, less than 2 acres, that would maybe like to have gates, and you'd be opening yourself up to that. And this increasing the height of the gates, I mean, right now we have a requirement of 6 foot zoning ordinance. That's something they could meet. Also, the new construction south towards Plainfield are all new homes. They don't have any fences or gates in the plans. And if we approve this, I could see them asking for it, and then it goes on and on and on. So those are the main reasons, but we do sympathize with their needs.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other?
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Joe? Yeah.
So in my experience on the Plan Commission, which I was a member of for 16 years, the minimum acreage requirement for gates at one time was 10 acres, then it was reduced to 5 acres, and now it's reduced down to 2 acres. So we've watered this down over the years. And I see that if we water this down to 1.2 acres, whatever it is, then we're going to have a proliferation of gates in our community. Thank you.
Okay, and then anybody, and Joe, did you want to add something?
I would like to add one thing. On the existing
Well, wait to get up, just because you got to get on the microphone.
On the existing homes, the staff presented a very good package of all the ordinances that apply to these homes. And when you look at the hardships, they are hardships.
Hardships with the land?
Hardships to the land. And 3 of them, like you said, predate the 1951 or earlier. The ones that were approved, and there is one that was denied, the hardships, I've underlined them. They're very well documented in the package.
Could you explain those?
Sure. Well, one of them was 1984, and I'd have to read through all of them now.
Okay.
2 were 1951. One was a temporary snow fence that's only there between middle of November to whatever, March or April.
I'm familiar with that one.
In the one, the county line road was raised several feet, and it was actually 5 feet above the house level. So there was some variation to that. That was caused by land, and it was after the building. So I think, those are the main ones I can remember. But, I mean, they have it, and I'd like to point that out. That was a good package prepared by staff.
Bill, any questions? Joe?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
All right. Yes, Russ?
I have a question. When did you move into this house?
We purchased it in February. We purchased it in February, and then we conducted some updates to it, and then moved in officially in July. Excuse me.
So it's fair to say the County Line Road was there when you purchased it, so you knew what you were dealing with when you made that purchase. Hopefully, your attorney at that time also made you aware of our village ordinances if there was a wish for a fence. My concern is that I think the village has been fair by giving you the exception on the decking, but it almost seems like you're asking for so much that goes against what our village guidelines are. And it makes it very difficult for me to say and approve that.
So I actually was born and raised in this town. I started at Gower in 1987. I graduated Hinsdale South in 2000. I mean, I used to hang out at Max and Erman's. That was like, this was my high school hangout. We shot for houses in Lake Forest and Bannockburn and Deerfield. We chose to come back here because I'm from this town, and I did not imagine that we would, like, if we have this request and it makes sense, it fits with the character of the entire neighborhood. There's a 9-foot gate next door to me. There's an 8-foot gate next door to that. The sides of our gate are 6 feet tall, or what we're asking for. We're nothing if not for, like, we're happy to compromise. Like, if you guys want us to do 30 feet from the street, that makes sense. Okay, we'll set it back 30 feet from the street, or even 35 feet from the street. That's fine. It's just that if we were to get a gate and it was, 23 feet already set back plus 30 feet, that's 53 feet with all the other gates that are right there on the road. And that just would look silly. I mean, our position was, if we come to this committee, that, you're all our neighbors. I mean, if you've lived here a while, my little brother has literally probably valeted your car at Capri before. And like, we kind of felt that as nothing what we're doing is actually hurting anybody. Everybody in our subdivision wants us to do this. We're the only house in the Longwood Drive subdivision with a driveway on County Line Road, which is pretty unique. If our driveway was on Longwood, we wouldn't even need one. But just in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, it seemed as though this was kind of a obvious thing. Like, everyone else has one, why wouldn't we? And like I said, the Taj is on 1.26 acres. The 6116 South County Line is on 0.58 acres, and they have a gate on their property line. They have 2 gates. They have one on what's the other road there? Yeah. But anyway, and they're in the exact same predicament we're in, where their address is on County Line Road, but they're part of their subdivision that goes inwards. And so with the precedent being there and this kind of being something that wouldn't really hurt anybody, we imagined that, cooler heads would prevail. We just, kind of,
Joe made a comment that this would set a precedent, but isn't there already a precedent? You can't drive up and down that area of County Line Road without seeing gates. There was a time in the village that we wanted to discourage gates because we didn't want that to be the image of the village. But times have changed. People are more concerned with security and crime. And that was one of the bases that my memory is that we allowed the gate on the Halikias property because of the turnarounds and the proximity to Plainfield and County Line. We have 2 children with some, at least, history of running towards County Line Road. If the fence was, what's the setback, 23 feet, 30 feet?
23 feet from the curb to the property line, in terms of the gate. The fence would be on the property line 23 feet east of County Line Road.
Could you hedge? Could you hedge the property, which would be as effective as a fence?
I already started that process. We planted like 39 trees along County Line Road. They're going to grow in, but given the height of the trees that were existing in the right-of-way, or that are on the property line, I had to plant Canadian hemlocks, which grow pretty slowly, because I just don't get that much sunlight. So my house kind of blocks the sun in the morning, and then those taller trees block the sun in the afternoon, so I had to plant trees that really only get 2 or 3 hours of sunlight a day. Not a lot grows in that.
But you could plant arborvitae, what do they call them?
Well, the arborvitae's would, so on Longwood Drive there, I planted arborvitae's because they actually have adequate sunlight. On County Line, because my house blocks the sun and the existing trees block the sun, I had to do hemlocks, which were considerably more expensive. But that's the only thing that'll grow in 2 hours of
But
sunlight.
then if you had a gate and you had gardening or you had vegetation or whatever you want to
Yeah.
put there, would that serve your needs?
Yes,
So now we're down to the gate,
yes.
okay? And of course, if the ordinance says 6 feet, are you okay with 6-foot gate?
That's fine. I mean, if anything, that saves me money.
All right, so what is so precedential in giving them a gate 23 to 30 feet off county lines in an area that has nothing but gates up and down each side of the street? At a time when safety is a consideration. Go ahead.
I'll answer your question. Many of those gates are installed before the village annexed the property, so they're grandfathered in
Yeah.
as legally and non-conforming structures. Other gates were mentioned that were allowed to be installed because of variances and hardships with the land. This hardship is self-imposed.
Okay,
Trustee Frenzy, the one where the gentleman, Ray said something about a half an acre lot that has 2 gates, one on county line. Was that anytime when you were on the planning
No.
commission? That was prior?
Prior.
That was a grandfathered one?
I don't know.
do you know which?
1984.
Yeah, it's on the corner of Woodgate and County Line Road on the southwest corner.
Correct, 1984 was that one.
Woodgate and, where's Woodgate and
That-
County Line Road?
Bottom of the hill,
So it'd be the
before Catherine
land,
Leggy,
in your opinion on that
Oh,
one?
going the other way.
going north.
Would have been the topography of the land on that one?
I'm sorry?
Would have been the
Oh,
topography of the land?
okay, that's the house, that's the White House that sits.
Oh, yeah.
What was the hardship about that in 1984? Probably because someone could run out onto County Line Road?
Again, that was before my time. I don't know. You have to ask Ms. Farrell.
Correct, yes. For that property, which is number 1 here on the map, the variance was approved in 1984, and it was for an elderly resident. I believe it was like the mother-in-law lived there, and their claim was that she was, in danger of walking around in the yard. Obviously, that was a number of years ago, so.
And here we have 2 children. One that does not respond to her name if called upon. Yes.
For time constraints, Mayor, we have an audience here that have an agenda to discuss. What my concern is, we have a plan commission that is trying to abide by our ordinances. This sounds like something that needs to be addressed on another meeting, that if we need to look at our ordinances on the fencing, on the gates, we should do that in another time. I understand their concerns, but I also understand we have a plan commission that's, trying to do the right thing based on our ordinances.
Couldn't agree more, and I do thank you for
Good
opening
point.
that door, because I was gonna open it myself.
Okay.
Or opening that gate. Our gate ordinance does, in my opinion.
Yes.
It has to be reviewed. And we do review our code annually? right?
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
And, do you know where we're in that schedule?
So we do that in January. We present a summary of all of the cases from the previous year, and then looking forward to the next year of what text amendments to undertake. So this could be something to add for the January.
Okay. Yes, Joe?
Follow up on Trustee Smith's, Mayor, you opened up, said, hey, would you be willing to 6-foot fence? Would you be willing to let your vegetation do this? Since the petitioners are really willing to be flexible, I think maybe kick it back and ask to the planning commission and say, look, if with these considerations, would you approve? Based on hardship, was, if 1984, there was an elderly individual who could walk out on the street, I have a 5-year-old who doesn't listen, I would be a little more adamant than this wonderful young lady who got up for her child. I've been a little more adamant about, hey, and the gentleman's coming back to Burridge where he lived here prior. So that's,
Right, so, and the review of the code starts with the plan commission, does it not?
Correct. The Plan Commission will come back to the board and ask, can we look at these list of text amendments for the next year? And then the board would direct the Plan Commission to go ahead and undertake that.
So what would be the procedure if this was sent back to the Plan Commission to consider the changes that the petitioner is willing to make, and at the same time, look at amending our gate ordinances?
It
What
would be a
happened?
remand of this petition, and it sounds like it would only be a remand of the placement of the gate in the setback area. If the applicant is withdrawing the application for the height variation, the fence variation, you're gonna use bushes, so it'd be one item, remanding it back.
And then would that be on their next agenda?
I would work with the applicants to see getting timing of updated materials, but potentially yes.
Okay. Yes, Bill?
Could we, I think we're in agreement with what your attorney just said, but since the planning commission approved the deck, could we get approval on the deck tonight so that they could start with that?
Yeah, I don't think.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, can I get a motion to approve the deck and to remand the gate issue back to the Plan Commission with a footnote that the board would like the Plan Commission to expeditiously start looking at our overall gate ordinance in the village?
So, Janine, this would be to direct the staff to prepare the ordinance to approve the deck and to remand the matter back to the Plan Commission, which would be undertaken at our next meeting, but obviously the remand back to the Plan Commission can proceed in the interim. But you're gonna have to wait for another meeting to get the deck actually approved.
Two meetings. Right.
Well, they don't have an ordinance on the agenda tonight, so.
Okay? So, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to remand for the gate and to
Direct
direct
staff.
staff as he explained?
For the deck.
So moved.
Deck.
Second.
We had a motion, we have a second? Second.
Acclamation.
Okay. Any comment at the board level? Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, motion passes, and congratulations to the board for good discussion. That's what we do. We do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That will take us to item 8B, consideration to direct staff to prepare a resolution modifying the village's objection to DuPage County zoning case zoning 2322 Quick Trip Store, 7311 DuPage County, 9200 South Kingery Highway, and 10S 410 Route 83. Janine, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. On June 26th of this year, the board unanimously approved a resolution objecting to the DuPage County zoning case for a proposed Quick Trip gas station, which is located on the southwest corner of Route 83 and 91st Street. I believe the summary in your packet incorrectly mentioned that it was the northwest corner, which is Walgreens. Walgreens is not moving, so this is the southwest corner. The petitioner Quick Trip is proposing a gas station with semi-truck fueling pumps and a convenience store. Village limits are located directly across the street, so across Route 83 to the east, with McDonald's and then the proposed Thornton's gas station just to the south of the McDonald's. The village unanimously approved submitting the written protest against the rezoning and the proposed conditional use for the planned unit development to operate the gas station and the convenience store. The written protest is a legal mechanism where it would trigger a 3/4 majority vote of approval by the DuPage County Board in order to approve the request. As part of the objection, there were several points outlined which detailed the reasons behind the objection, which basically included the potential negative impact of the semi-trucks in this area. Since June, Quick Trip has made changes to the original site plan and is requesting that the board withdraw their original objection. Changes were detailed in the summary, and then those updated site plans were also included in your packet. And just as a reminder, the village does not have control over authority of the site plan itself. The written protest, the objection was to the rezoning and to the PUD itself, so to the actual zoning action. And I know Quick Trip representatives are here tonight, and I do know there are also some members of the public who would like to speak tonight as well.
Understood. Okay, let's start. First of all, any preliminary questions of any of the trustees of the petitioner?
Oh, I have one question. So, why is it back on our agenda?
Right. It's back on the agenda at the request of Quick Trip. Since we've, under my signature, but after in consultation with the Plan Commission and board members, since the village sent this June 13th letter, they have modified their proposal. I'm told addressing all of our substantive safety issues. Although I've gotten calls, as you might imagine, in the last several days from people saying that Quick Trip has said one thing to us and has said something else at the Zoning Board of Appeals at the county level. That doesn't mean that they did do that. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the concerns that still exist, that I'm going to ask the members from Quick Trip to comment on, include, and I may not be exhaustive here, but an acceleration, not deceleration, but an acceleration path to go southbound out of the proposed site. That was one thing that was requested of me to ask tonight. The other is a left turn from northbound 83 onto 91st Street that I'm told IDOT approved. So that's something to also discuss tonight. There is a concern for turning onto 91st Street, as I understand the maneuver. Now, if you look at the site plan, the strip mall, I'll call it a strip mall, across from where Walgreens is, that's supposed to be taken down and is going to no longer exist and be part of the Quick Trip if it's allowed by the county. Again, and I do stress by the county, it's the county that will make this decision. But one of the concerns of the people, either in our village or outside of our village, is that, as I understand it, if you were to be able to, if a truck was going southbound on 83, say coming off of I-55, going past the light, you know, where the Shell station is, and continuing south, when they get to 91st Street, I believe it would be allowed for the truck to make a right turn and then immediately a left turn into the station, which residents think is a dangerous maneuver. And it may be, and it seems like a legitimate concern. I don't know the distances, et cetera. We've heard from the school board also about children walking in the area. And this 91st is where the Ann Jean School is and where the Mecca Center is, okay? And so my understanding was, and my understanding may be inaccurate, was that Quick Trip would agree not to allow that right turn, left turn. In other words, we'd put a pork chop or a sign or something that would stop them from making a right turn, left turn. That is a concern. There's also a concern for overnight truck parking, which is my understanding, which is why we're having this hearing tonight, that was eliminated. Some people said, no, it was only reduced. That's an important distinction. And then there was going to be no car wash, no video gaming, and maybe a couple of other things. But that's generally the shopping list for this evening, and others may bring up more information. So, first of all, please introduce yourself, and council also introduce yourself.
Good evening. Andrew Smith, Quick Trip Corporation, Real Estate Manager.
John Simpson, SIM, PSON, on behalf of Quick Trip.
Okay, and it's Mr. Simpson's partner, Mr. DeTillo, who I know professionally. Matt DeTillo and I are professional colleagues. And so hence my comment at the beginning of the meeting. All right, you want to go first? The floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you all for having us here tonight. We appreciate the ongoing discussion. Our goal is to be a good corporate citizen and to be a valuable asset to the neighborhood. Every site that we work on, we love to work with our neighbors. We love to work with neighboring municipalities whenever it's appropriate, and to work with the governing authority to make sure that we bring forth a plan that's amenable to all parties. So since the time of I believe it was June ZBA, we have worked closely with Village of Burr Ridge on a series of conditions, which happy to explore those further beyond what was already said. I do want to clarify a couple of points. One thing, as far as trucks access to the site goes, trucks will only be accessing the site off of 83 at the southernmost point, which if you look at the plan there, it's on the left side. So north is right on this. Trucks will not enter our site off of 91st. The only trucks on 91st will be exiting just to get back to the signal to head north, because that's a safer movement to turn left at the...
I'll tell you one thing we're not having is that.
Because it's safer for trucks to take a left at a signalized intersection than to turn directly onto the state highway to take a left across multiple lanes. That's the entire reason that we've included the corner piece into our site, is to get traffic to the intersection, which is where the signal is, because left turns across the state highway are very dangerous, and our site does not allow that at all. The only thing that it allows is a left turn into the site off of 83, because you're only passing the oncoming traffic, so you have a very clear
Okay, let's
sidewalk.
take those in pieces so everybody understands what you're saying, at least I understand what you're saying. So if a truck is, using my example, if a truck is going southbound on 83 and gets to 91st Street, that truck cannot make a right turn onto 91st and make the immediate left?
Right, our site is not designed that way. Our site is designed for them to enter at the southern side of the site and then to turn from 83 into the site to the truck fueling station. So you can see that's a truck entering, and that's the turning movement for the truck.
Okay,
It goes
but,
south, turns a right, and then into.
all right, but if you take the pointer up to where you can egress onto 91st, so a truck could then make a right turn to go to the intersection.
Right.
So what would stop a truck? What would stop a truck from making a right-hand turn on 91st? Truck drivers from Nebraska, doesn't know where the heck he or she is, and just is coming off I-55, needs gas, sees your station. And what's going to stop that truck driver from making the right on 91st and then making the quick left?
Sure, a couple things. One is it's only designed for the trucks to enter from the southern side of the actual fueling station itself, so they wouldn't really be able to fuel with us if they came in from the north. Additionally, we do tend to put directional signs on our site that direct the truck drivers to a specific access point. It will say trucks with an arrow, and then it directs them to that point. We'd also be happy to work further with IDOT to add an additional sign to the intersection itself that says no trucks turning onto 91st. You see that in some situations. I don't believe that that exists at that intersection today. So from the south, you could put a sign up on the intersection or the signals that say no trucks with a right turn.
Okay.
And then from the south heading north, you could put that in that left turn lane that says no trucks pointing to the
Okay,
west.
follow me on one thing, because I'm not even sure I know what I'm talking about here, but the egress from onto 91st, okay? Yeah, right there, Janine, thank you. What if there was a pork chop in there that would make it impossible for a truck to make a left turn?
A left turn into the site or out?
Into the site?
I think the kind of, as far as turning into the site there, I mean, it wouldn't really change our operation at all as far as trucks go into the site. Our concern would probably be, if you had northbound vehicular traffic, it would also restrict them. So we wouldn't want to, because a northbound car that would take a left to get into our site, we don't want them interacting with the trucks down the southern side of the site.
You mean if a if a car was going northbound on 83 and wanted to make a left turn onto 91st to use your station,
Right. It would
they
restrict
could
that
then
as
turn left in. So I'm still not following, and it's probably me, I'm still not following how you're gonna make certain that a truck isn't gonna make a hard right and a
Sign.
quick left.
Well, yeah, I mean, the signage directs them to the south side of our site.
Okay.
They know to look for that. That's just kind of a standard part of our operation. I
And when
think
you say if they enter the other way, they can't fuel, what does that mean?
Well, it's not designed for them to fuel entering from the other way. It's designed for them for one-way traffic through the fueling station from the south heading north. Otherwise, they kind of end up blocking the site, and that's not really. They tend to know the directions to enter the site from after they kind of get used to us being there.
I don't understand how they tend to know when it's the first time they
Right,
show up.
Right. Okay.
And Google tells them to turn right. So, I'm not buying it. Go ahead.
All right. So we are not satisfied. If one of us isn't satisfied, that's probably enough. If one of us isn't satisfied that you have articulated clearly why a truck, unfamiliar, my example coming from Nebraska, getting off, makes a right turn there and then tries to make the left into your site. How are you going to prevent that? That's one of the concerns, as I understand it, from your neighbors on the other side, on the other side of your site.
Sure.
They're afraid that trucks will make a quick right and then try to make a quick left, and people coming from A&M James and the Mecca Center, could be an accident.
Sure. No, I completely understand. And, our intention is not to provide something that's unsafe or inefficient. That's not in our best business interest either. So, but if it is something that you would like to see, and if that's one of your conditions, then we'll be happy to include that as one of the conditions.
Well, then, the only thing that I've been told before I got to this meeting was that a pork chop, is that a term of art in your business?
Sure, yes.
Okay, I went out last Saturday night, Parker's, by the way, makes an excellent pork chop. But that's the only pork chop I know. But if we as a board want a pork chop there, are you willing to do it?
If that's your condition.
And the answer is yes?
Sure.
Okay, and so everybody here understands this is a recorded meeting, okay? So they are, you're all going to be heard. Well, I don't know about all of you, but, so you just heard his answer. If we, the board, want a pork chop, you understand where we're talking about? That ingress egress at 91st Street, then Quick Trip says they will do it, okay? That's the first thing. All right, Joe?
Can are trucks allowed on 91st Street?
No, so I was told
So
there was a
why-
5-ton restriction. I don't know how, is that correct? Okay, I tried to do a little homework. How heavy is a truck? I don't know.
80,000
Heavier than 5 tons.
72 to 80,000 pounds.
Okay, so heavier than 5 tons, 10,000 pounds? So,
At least 53.
so trucks are not allowed on 91st. So would there be a sign up saying no truck traffic or something? Is that what IDOT would normally put there? And if so, why isn't there one there? Is there one now? There already are? Okay, so trucks don't use 91st now? Okay. They don't? Okay, so trucks don't use 91st. All right, that answers that question.
When we said in June, we sent back to you, did you go back to the county? And the county said what? That you had to come back to us to change our mind?
Specifically, the last meeting, they didn't say that. No, when we continued from the June meeting, we took the initiative to reach out to Burr to work with you all.
So you've not spoken with the county? Who's in charge? It's not us who's in charge, the county's in charge.
And so, yes, the county's in charge and they get to find, no matter what we say, the
Right.
county could do something else.
Right.
But, to be fair to everybody here, I was on the county board, there's a, forest preserve person who knows how the county board works. The county board takes a village's position such as Burr Ridge, Darien, or Willowbrook's position seriously. And you just heard that if we do have a brick on it and say no, then the vote has to be 3/4 at the county level as opposed to a majority.
Did
So-
Willowbrook
so,
already join with us?
Thank you for bringing that up. It's my understanding that neither Willowbrook nor Darien has even weighed in on this and has taken a neutral position, which means they're not listening. We're giving you a forum that you would not normally have. Right. The people that don't live in Burr Ridge and don't want to, anyhow. But we're doing what we do here. Okay, so on the, no trucks use 91st, and should one happen to make a right turn, being from out of nowhere, and blow by the sign, that truck still won't be able to make the hard left because there'll be a pork chop there.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, wait, no, you guys go next, okay? Okay, we'll get to one thing at a time, okay? So the other thing that was brought up to me in terms of concern was, I see that you have a deceleration lane. I get what that is. And then when you come out at the bottom, where do the trucks exit your property?
To head south, they would take a right at that point.
Okay, is there an acceleration lane?
There is not. That's an IDOT controlled street. They have reviewed our traffic study, has not been something that they've brought up. And we can't just add whatever improvements we want to an IDOT street. We do need their approval to do so.
All right. Do you have the land for an acceleration, or it's their right of way, right?
Further south would be.
So, Janine, if you put your pointer all the way south where they would be leaving this, the station to go southbound. So is that IDOT's land to the south, their corridor?
It should be, yes.
So if they wanted you to have an acceleration lane, they could give you the property to do that, and you would do that?
If that's what they require, yes.
Okay. So it's my understanding now that so far IDOT has not required an acceleration lane. But if we added that as something that we'd like IDOT to talk to you about, is that something you would talk to IDOT about?
Yes, we would absolutely bring up. And I'm just prefacing that with it is their street. So we can't make a promise on IDOT's behalf, but we would be absolutely, it's absolutely not a cost issue for us to add that. It's just purely the feasibility of IDOT approving it.
Okay, yes.
But you were able to add a deceleration lane with IDOT's approval.
And that was requested.
Did you ask for approval for an acceleration lane?
We did not.
Thank you.
But we'd be happy to if. No, absolutely.
Both sides of that, guys, that they didn't ask, but IDOT did not require one yet either. But we'd like them to, that's been brought up, and so we'd like you to sit down with IDOT and figure that out. Yes?
Just to expand on this, there were some questions, so I would like to just explain. We had a meeting with the ZBA in June. It was continued to 2 weeks ago, and then there's another one that's upcoming as well. So in that period of time from receiving the objection letter is when these conversations started taking place. The county recommended that we speak to Burr Ridge, and then we received your objections and what the problems were with the proposal, and we made modifications to that site between the June date and the last October meeting date. Just I wanted to provide that timeline.
You met with them 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
and they said, just to come back to us,
Yes, unfortunately, I don't believe you guys had a meeting 2 weeks ago. We were trying to see where we were in terms of our most recent submittal to the municipality as to what their views were and whether or not they still objected to anything related to the 6 items that were raised to us.
so our mayor gave us a point, because we threw our hand in the fire and said, we would prefer not to, even though Willowbrook and Darien did not, said, not my problem, am I right? So now we kicked it up a level and said, you'd have to have 3/4 or 75% of the vote of the county, and so it's easier to get, without us, if we go, okay, we're hands off, then it would be less than 75% vote, correct?
That's a majority.
And so with that being said, you went to there for a reason, to see if, what would we do to get not a supermajority vote, right?
That's part of it, yep.
Yes, correct. That was the advice we were given from the county board because of the protocol and procedural requirements when there's a formal objection made by a municipality.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I've addressed 2 issues. There's no car wash, right?
Correct.
Now, that doesn't stop you from asking for one in the future, as I understand it, correct?
Correct, but it would follow the same process. We would have to proceed with submittals for conditional use permits and such.
And And we could weigh in on that again, of course.
Understanding, right?
Yeah, I don't know how we
I'd have to
object to
defer
a car wash, but, right, all right.
And the gambling.
Well, yeah, they're not doing, you're not doing gambling, right?
So they can come before.
They could raise it again and we could weigh in again, okay? And they're not, no overnight, so, that was someone called me and said, you did not eliminate overnight, you just, lessened the number of stalls from 10 to 5, something like that.
Sure, so I can explain that. We did lessen the stalls from 10 to 5 for our county submittal. However, our discussions with Burr Ridge were that we would eliminate them entirely for Burr Ridge.
But I'm glad you just said that, because that's what I said back to the person who said to me. So I want to be sure we're getting the same story.
Yes, and just to make things simpler from the county perspective and for you all, for instance, the addition of a pork chop or things like that, there could be additional things that change. So we just want to make it clear, like we had our submittal for the county, we would then have our conversations with Burr Ridge, whatever changes came from that, we would submit all of that at one time.
So you will eliminate the overnight parking.
And it is complete, and to clarify too, our truck parking is never overnight parking, it's short-term truck parking for them to stop, use the restroom, get back on the road. We don't have any overnight facilities, we don't have laundry, we don't have lounge areas, showers, anything like that. It's purely a food and fuel stop. You can get your fuel, use the restroom, get something to eat, and then it's back on the road. That's the entire design of our business.
Okay, just want to be clear, no overnight truck parking.
No truck parking, period.
Okay.
Overnight or
No
short-term.
truck parking, period, for any lengthy period at all.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So if there's a truck coming northbound, okay, and it's going to make a left on that street, it's a big truck. It takes a little while to make a left, and there's a car coming southbound at high speed, then that car has to brake?
No, the trucks would wait for the way to clear that truck. The car would
But
have the right of way, and then they.
I
would go
agree,
after that.
but the truck will take some time to make a left turn. And the car is coming at a high speed. Either we have like a protected left turn or something.
There is a protected left turn out there. That's a.
No, sorry, what I'm saying is either we have a light where it's synchronized with the other light so that when traffic is going, when the car coming down has a green light, then the truck has a red light.
Okay, let's make sure we're talking about the same left turn. I want to be sure. We're not talking about a left turn onto 91st. We're talking about
A left
the
turn
proposed
into.
left turn into the southernmost part of the site, right? Okay, that's uncontrolled.
Yes.
And did IDOT approve that left turn?
Yes, that was IDOT's recommendation, was to reduce that from a full axis to a 3/4 with a left in.
So the trucks can't go north though from that?
No, they can't go back north. Well, no, that's not true. They could exit onto 91st Street, but shouldn't be able to, because it's on
can't. The
91st
trucks
Street.
Can't
Right,
drive
can't
a
do
truck
that.
on 91st.
You can't drive a truck.
You can only go
right, so-
south.
So there's no way they can go north,
Only go south.
legally. There's
Makes
no
no
way.
sense.
Legal.
And then IDOT has approved that left turn, that's south of the site.
Yeah,
It's not our road. IDOT approved it. Okay, now here's the concern that was raised to me by someone else too. I don't know the distance. So 91st Street, you got a Burr Ridge resident who is coming westbound on 91st towards 83. Light changes in his or her favor, and they go and they make the left turn, as is commonly done all day long, down southbound on 83. What's the distance there? So what I'm getting at is, I don't want we don't want our resident making a left turn down to go southbound on 83 and get cut off or a potential accident of the truck making a left turn. So
Correct.
how much distance is that?
I don't have the exact distance. It's several hundred feet, though. That scale at the bottom right, that's from the far left to the far right, I believe is 180 feet as you go. So that scale there is 180 feet, so that appears to be 800
Right.
to 900 feet roughly.
Right, and I would think, I mean, that's a legitimate question, but again, that is something you would think IDOT would know.
it's scary.
But IDOT has approved it, so IDOT has determined that that's not unsafe. I'm just saying, okay? But I want to bring up all the questions that were addressed to me before this meeting.
So how's a truck gonna go northbound when it leaves that property?
Can't.
Can't.
So someone that's going north gets gas and then where do they go?
And that makes no sense to me either.
You gotta
If
go
you've
south.
got a Thornton, well, Thornton, you can't get, trucks can't get gas? How about the Speedway?
Yes.
And
The Speedway, they can
can't
get
even go to
gas, right?
I-55.
There's not dedicated truck fueling pumps like you see here.
Okay.
There may be diesel pumps, but
Are you a trucker, sir? What's your name? Dave. Can a truck get gas at the Speedway?
Well, trucks don't run on gas, they run on diesel.
On diesel? Can they get diesel? I'm sorry,
Yes, they can, it's mostly without trailers.
Not full-length trucks.
a 53-footer couldn't.
No,
Okay. And I suppose you can't, is there diesel at the Shell?
no.
Okay. So I suppose if a truck needed, if a 53-footer needed diesel, it could make the left turn, fill up, and go southbound until it could safely
Turn around.
go northbound. How likely is that? I don't
Truck's not
know.
gonna go out onto 91st and try to make a left turn?
And catch I-55.
Can I approach there just?
Sure.
I think there is some confusion that's occurring here. Their truck bounds will be going northbound using the 91st Street.
You can't be
That's
on-
something to clarify. It's an IDOT jurisdiction, it's an IDOT intersection. So the truck, the no truck, the 5-ton limit would apply here. Actually, go about 5 feet just below where the entryway to Walgreens would be. Because the same issue would be as if you had an 18-wheeler going to Walgreens, filling up, and they wanted to go northbound, they wouldn't be able to do so from the exit here. They have to go to 91st and go northbound as well. So because this intersection is under IDOT's jurisdiction, everything you see, the sole variation we'll be asking for is all based on IDOT's review of what we presented. So in conjunction with Callaway, the engineering firm, which I know this village has used for, well, almost every village uses them. But this is what they have presented, these are what the traffic meters have read, and this is what IDOT has said the safest route is. They were the ones that said we put the deceleration in here, sorry, my apologies, deceleration if you're heading southbound to turn in. This is where they wanted exiting traffic to go, continuing southbound on 83. When you're heading northbound, you use this protected left turn lane, which will have a control light over here, and like it was said before, it's probably 800 feet. I don't want to say wrong, we use the scale, I just don't know that answer offhand. And northbound, what they wanted to do is they wanted them to go out on 91st to then make a left at a controlled intersection. I just want to make sure that's clear because I think the impression I just got is that under no circumstances, no one's turning left, and under no circumstances.
Okay,
trucks are
thank you
allowed.
for the clarification. So, a northbound truck could fuel there and use 91st Street at the controlled intersection to go north.
Thought 91st Street had a weight limit on it.
Yeah, but not there according to IDOT, I guess
Maybe
they
not at
waived.
the intersection where IDOT's got jurisdiction, but tell me how far IDOT's jurisdiction
Just
extends.
all the way to the Walgreens.
But my understanding, based on conversations with IDOT, is it at least goes to the edge of this property, is they're the ones dictating it. Because the alternative would be, if IDOT didn't have the jurisdiction, it would fall to the county. The county, because this is unincorporated area, so because the county has told us IDOT is the one in control of this, we're going to defer to the county saying they don't have control, IDOT has control.
Of the intersection.
They said both of the intersection as well as the egress ingress. So we're operating, we know that we've given notice and had consultations with both the state and the local, or state and the county level. And we are certain that in this instance, it's not the municipal level because it's unincorporated. So both of them have kind of directed us to IDOT.
So would you,
Yeah, Joe.
would it be fair to say that at least 30% of all the trucks are gonna go back north? Fair.
Probably.
Probably, or more.
I-55.
You know, to get back to 55. If they're coming
I
down.
mean, if they're gonna fuel
Right,
there,
They're fuel there, at least 30% would be a low number possibly.
well, maybe.
I'm sure Quick Trip would know the number, but that means 30%, they're gonna pull up, they're gonna go all the way through here and come out on 91st. 30% of all those trucks are gonna go on 91st.
All of them.
Well, 30% are going north.
100% of the trucks that want to go
North
north
will go on
onto
91st.
90
It was 100%.
I don't know how many, have you guys done some kind of calculate? Further south on 83, where is the closest place that a truck can fuel?
By New Avenue, they're putting in a new gas station, car wash down there.
On the east side? On the west side? But,
I don't know. They should.
so they could fuel there? I mean, I just don't know. Have you guys done any projections of how many trucks are likely to use that left turn to fuel so they could still go northbound by using 91st Street?
Sure, absolutely. And one thing to keep in mind with the trucks is it's different than the cars because we see more cars because they take less fuel versus we see fewer trucks because they take more fuel. It's only ends up being like a few trucks per hour, 4 to 6 trucks roughly per hour per day. So, and that's mostly at the peak periods. It's actually a very small, much lower volume, but each one consumes more fuel.
But how likely is it that a car would enter that left turn lane to fuel at your station when they could fuel at the Thorntons or the Speedway or the?
Referring to like a northbound
Yeah,
car?
the only use of that left turn lane is for a truck, right?
No.
Well,
I want to avoid the stoplight, so I'm going to turn left there.
a vehicle still could.
Yeah, but what's the likelihood a vehicle's gonna do that
They
to
can if there's a
fuel?
pork chop.
No.
Because they can get gas on the other side. of the
Yeah,
street.
they've got 3 gas stations on the other side. The Thorntons, the Speedway, and the Shell.
Yeah, but it's a penny cheaper here, so they're going to go turn left here.
Right.
I'm serious.
Okay, then you're serious, then fine. How about, I mean, are you building this to get northbound traffic? It's my understanding your business plan is really to get southbound traffic.
Sure, and we capture a portion of both, but I think to that point, you actually make a fantastic point about our business is we are located along your path of travel to be convenient for you on your way to or from work. And so if somebody else is more convenient from a specific direction, then the likelihood is they would stop there instead of with us. So I would agree with you that we are completely outpositioned by the Speedway and the Thorntons for northbound traffic.
All right, so then, but if people are concerned about the trucks, how much of your business is gonna be dependent on a truck making that left-hand turn? Would you be willing to have no truck? A car could use that, but no truck could use that.
Well, I think that there's also an unintended consequence to doing that, which is if there was a northbound truck that wanted to turn into us, they would get past that point and then get to 91st and possibly think that they could turn in, so.
That's probably a fair point. All right, any more questions here?
So I'm just trying to understand this. Like when we drive, you get off a highway, gas up and get back on the highway. So I'm assuming, let's say someone comes off of I-55, they go south, and then they get into the gas station, and then they make a right on 91st Street and get back on?
Yep, go north.
Yeah, right now they're allowed to do that according to what I understand from IDOT.
But it
IDOT's
would-
given them the permission that that the tonnage regulation doesn't apply in that particular part.
Who's going to enforce it not applying going into the gas station?
Pork chop.
The pork chop.
You can't make a left turn into it.
You can't make the left turn.
Well, and then in addition to that, we would be happy to explore additional no truck turn signs from 83 onto 91st.
But a pork chop would let a car turn in? I don't understand what a pork
No,
chop
it
is.
will not.
Then nobody can make a
Nobody can
left
do
turn
that.
into it?
Only
Okay.
right in, right out. would
So
be-
that would make 91st Street
So you can-
safer,
you could-
so to
You
speak.
can go to the right,
Oh,
or you
okay.
can go this, but you can't.
So,
Okay, now I know what you.
Lowercase r, Madam Trustee, a lowercase r is kind of what you would think of as a pork chop. It forces the right turn, and the only people that could turn in would then be heading eastbound on 91st.
So
If you think of, I know it's not silly, but facing it
No.
north, draw the r, a lowercase
I-
r.
Make a right in,
We-
and you can make a right out.
we have a pork chop in the village center.
At the south entrance.
You can't go, if you wanted to make the left turn to go coming out of the Village Center Drive,
Can't.
can't.
And I can explain the design of a pork chop a
Right,
little
right.
bit better,
I
too.
think we got it. So I'm sure I've not covered everything yet. Is there anything you want to add right now until I'm going to ask a couple of people to comment from the public?
You can go first.
Mayor, I think of all the items that have been raised from the village, the only one that we had modified in what you had requested pertains to this very area which we're discussing, the pork chop north of the
Triangle.
right turn in, right turn in, right turn in, right turn out. Originally, the suggestion was to put no truck left turn to further remind that trucks were not allowed west of that area. That was what our intention was. I believe the village is asking that there be no left turn period for any cars. We aren't against that. The reason why we didn't do this was pre-pork chop, and I thought some of the big reasons. The reason why we didn't do that is if anyone to the west was using this facility and wanted to turn back westbound on 91st, that pork chop or that no left turn at all stops them from going. So effectively, if you are traveling here and you were to turn in, you would not be able to go back to your home this way. So that was kind of what we were trying to work out with the village, because that effectively wasn't as material at the county level, but it was more important at the municipal level. We're willing to work on it, it's just we need a clear direction which one the village wants, so that we can better answer those questions in the proposal.
Yeah, the residents going west are not in our municipality, and if they want the pork chop, then
Then they
you know,
won't be able to.
that's the yin and the yang of that.
It does harm us, so I just want everyone, it is something knowing we will lose customers by doing that, but we also understand the safety argument to ensure that pattern of direction or traffic flow, we understand it. But that, just so everyone knows, that was why we had asked for a modified as opposed to just saying no left turn at all, which I believe the pork chop effectively accomplishes the same
It
goal.
accomplishes the same thing, right? Okay, so let's start taking a few comments from
The board.
from the group that's here. First of all,
Before,
yeah,
I'm sure all these residents would love to talk.
yeah, we're not letting it.
Can we, like, if everyone's, pick a
Right.
time, like, so many of the same thing over and over rather than,
Right. First of all, how many of you do not live in Burr Ridge? Please stand up. Do not live in the village of Burr Ridge.
Where's your proper?
Burr Ridge.
Yeah, well, okay.
Okay.
Doesn't,
So let's start, who's from Burr Ridge that wants to comment? Okay, do you have, we've got somebody with you had a question
well, yeah,
first?
don't we get a chance to share our thoughts?
Oh, yeah, you wanted, I was doing that. If you have a comment, sure.
Right, okay, yes.
I
So I appreciate you gentlemen coming in, representing Quick Trip. I'm sure you have a great business. Our DuPage County Board needs to understand that this group here has gone through a very tough time with the aftermath of Serogenics. And the last thing we need is idling semi-trucks, more traffic, more congestion in these areas. Janine, if you could bring up 162, please. All I had to do was see this picture and know this is the wrong business for our area. You have homes all around here. It is not fair for these people to have to sit there next to a fueling station and listening and smelling the fuel trucks and the trucks that come with it. This is not something that we want. I will definitely vote no. It's just not appropriate. Thank you.
Anybody else at the board level? Go ahead, Al.
As was mentioned, there's a lot of traffic on Route 83. And where the truck is coming off Route 83 to make a left turn, depends on how many trucks are making that left turn. A dead stop truck waiting for traffic decides to make a left turn, it takes them quite a few seconds to make that left turn, and it's gonna back up traffic, or a light could be changing. That's the thing that bothered me on this one, is how many trucks are making that left turn, and how much time is involved, because that truck is probably stopping, waiting to go, making that left turn. Okay, anybody else? Tony?
What's the proposed daily vehicles, the projected? What are your projections for daily vehicles?
I don't have the traffic study in front of me, but I can tell you that our business almost exclusively captures traffic on the existing roadway. Being a convenience store, we really don't generate very much at all. It would be great if we could, because then we could just go build a site, away from the population, away from everybody, and would be, cheaper and easier to do. However, unfortunately, that's just not the nature of our business. We only exclusively capture the traffic that's already in front of the site today.
Okay. All right, I didn't answer much, but,
So I think the question is, do you have a projection on the volume of trucks that you're hoping to capture going southbound on 83?
I'm sorry, the question was just the trucks? Or?
Yeah, truck traffic volume, a day's worth of trucks.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really only a few trucks per hour, 4 to 8 trucks roughly per hour. It doesn't take much for them to, pump quite a bit of fuel, because each one, carries so much fuel. And this is a much lower truck traffic store than what we typically do, because this isn't right off the interstate. So this isn't a location where we capture hardly any trucks off of 55. Those trucks are wanting to get off the highway right back on, so they would wait until they get a little bit further west, Bolingbrook or someplace like that.
So if it did 8 trucks over 20 hours, it's 160 trucks?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
About 160 trucks, is that a fair number?
Per day, that's probably about right.
Okay, and then, the trustee brought up a valid point. I think that most of us understand that trucks, we get in our car, we pull up to a gas station, we turn our car off. In fact, it says to turn it off. Trucks don't turn off, do they?
I mean, they can when they're fueling, but I mean, one thing to keep in mind too is that where our truck canopy is located, because we've removed all of those truck parks, per the village's recommendation, we're able to keep all that existing landscaping directly to the west of our trucks. So all that mature landscaping there directly west would remain in place to help create a better buffer. We've also are proposing an 8-foot privacy fence, and then the evergreens as recommended by the village.
Did he say, are you turning off the trucks, or did you bypass that question? Are the trucks turned off to fuel?
They can. I mean, I think it kind of depends.
Are they trucks turned off to fuel? Yes or no?
Where's our truck driver?
He's shaking his head no.
Just curious, thank you.
and then, the drivers are required rest after 8 hours. Are they gonna be resting there?
No, we don't provide any amenities for them to do so.
Okay.
I,
All right, any other board comments? Yes.
So, thank you for coming back to us and removing many of the objections that we had. However, the main objection still is the truck fueling. And I see so many issues with the truck fueling. It's causing so many issues here with ingress, egress, the deceleration. I think deceleration lane is too short. There's no acceleration lane. And the truck idling. I wouldn't want that in my backyard. Why would I want that in my neighbor's backyard for our DuPage County residents? We don't allow this kind of truck fueling in the recently approved Thornton's gas station across the street. We don't allow it at the Shell station. Sure, a tractor will be pulling in there and fueling possibly with diesel, but certainly not a 72-foot long tractor trailer, which is, I just Googled it, it's the average length of a tractor trailer, 72 feet long.
53? Well, the
Trailer length?
the van is 53.
Okay, well,
All right.
again, Google's wrong again, so.
It's not, it's 75 feet.
Yeah.
It's 53 feet from the trailer.
So the total length is?
5 feet.
Thank you.
Am I correct on that? Just-
So, we don't allow in our current, previously approved gas station and our current existing gas station, we don't allow this kind of business for the reasons I'm pointing out here. It seems to me we're trying to put 10 pounds of popcorn in a 5-pound bag, and it's just not working out. This might be the wrong site for your type of facility. This facility would be best on an interstate interchange. Thank you.
Okay, let's try to get some comments from some, so we have somebody with a, so you're from Burr Ridge, would you come on up?
Council, you want us to stay up here? Or go,
Yeah,
so
just
much
step
back
back.
seats,
Give-
so we don't know whether.
Yeah, just step
Mayor?
back, see.
Mayor, time limit? How much time?
Yeah, we're gonna give them not too much time. How many people want to speak? Okay, put your hands down. How many people are here in favor of it? Okay, so what we're gonna do is provide, Jenny, do we have a pad? Okay. Truck driver. Take that pad, please, get us. And here's what I'd like you to do. Please print your name, then sign your name, then give us your address. And I'm going to take all those names and put them in the record, and you'll be all of record as being against it. Okay? And then we'll let some of you speak, but you can appreciate our time, and we appreciate yours too. And I think we get the gist of it. If there are some things we haven't considered, I brought up a few things. If I failed to bring something up that you want to bring up, of course, then the board wants to hear that. But we don't want to hear about the left turn lane, pork chop, overnight parking, okay? Something new would be refreshing. Okay, so let's start. And please make sure that if you do want to put your name down, make sure, let's see, do we have another pad? Maybe we should circulate 2 pads.
Don't vote twice.
So let's get another pen and start it at the other end, okay?
No, pass it around.
I'm sorry, Janine, could you start it? Oh, yeah, I'll take it. Okay. All right, ma'am, please come up, identify yourself.
Thank you. My name is Joanne Krypel, K-R-Y-P-E-L. I live at 10 South 721 Jackson in Burr Ridge. I would say that these are not serious people. Twice, the DuPage Zoning Board of Appeals has asked for a lighting plan, yet to be provided. Twice, the DuPage County Zoning Board of Appeals chair has asked for a specific quick trip to go and visit, to put eyes on the situation. The answer was the same both times. We have them all over the country. And the chair returned, I don't want to drive all over the country. There was no response. Is there a local one to visit? I could have raised my hand and said, sure, Bellwood, Lansing.
I get all that, but what we, you know, at the county level, that's going to be, they're competent, they'll handle it. What we want to know is your specific objections to this plan.
Okay? Okay. They have twice stated that they have no evidence of property value reduction and cited the speedway located right next to residential properties. Somebody didn't Google hard enough. Both Zillow and Homlia agree on the top 2 entities that most negatively impact property value. One is a cemetery. That's the first one. It's quiet, they have trees, I don't know. The second is a gas station, particularly a cluster of gas stations. We have a speedway, Thornton's is coming, and we're gonna up the ante by supersizing the third one to a truck stop. That is a cluster. We did talk a bit about the parking, and I wanna make sure that I understand, because I think you had signs up, this is in your packet that I gave you.
Yeah, and we do have that, it's right in front of us.
Right, so this top one is the original plan, shows 10 parking spaces. The one that they provided, which is in tonight's agenda, I'm so sorry. The bottom one shows 0 parking spaces. That was presented to Burr Ridge.
Yes.
A week and a half ago, at October 12th, they stood up and said, we have reduced our parking from 10 to 5. And this is sorry, this is the plan that shows the 5 parking spaces.
Right, that's why I was concerned about that, and we have them on record saying it's 0.
I hear them agree to that, and until we see a revised plan to DuPage County that shows 0, can we hold?
Miss, they agreed to 0 parking for any length of period and 0 overnight parking. They did acknowledge that they went from 10 to 5 at the zoning board, but told Burr Ridge 0, and they're staying at 0.
For Burr Ridge. I want to see 0 at the county.
Well, that's why I said, this is a public, it's recorded, they have committed to 0.
Okay?
Okay?
Yep. One more little item. I think I have my... Quick Trip has promised to come back to the village in the future for gaming, if they decide they want to do it. By that point, it's too late. The truck stop is already there. Quick Trip stated at the 10-12 meeting that they've had over the last 4 months worked closely with a neighboring municipality. Burr Ridge's objection doesn't stop the project from going forward, and if the plan is as fabulous, as great for the community, and beneficial as they claim, that 3/4 shouldn't be an impediment. Please don't retract this letter. For the protection of your Burr Ridge residents who live on the western edge and who travel in the vicinity, make them be serious. Thank you.
Thank you. Imam. I'm sorry, not truck driver, not yet.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Mayor Grasso and respected trustees for allowing us to speak tonight. I'm not a resident of Burr Ridge. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet. I'm working hard. One day I will be here. But as you know,
Excuse me,
I'm serving.
Yeah, it's
Imam Ali. Okay.
Yes, I'm an imam of Mecca Center. My name is Hassan Ali, last name ALY.
Thank you.
And also I'm here as a board member of Hinsdale Community Service. We have a very busy food pantry on 91st Street in Annem Jean's elementary school location. Now, this very special project is a great project, providing great service, but not for this area. We have, in this very special corner, 4 places of worship, 4 different places of worship. We received people from different places in the world. 2 weeks ago, we had visitors, 30 visitors, including pastors and priests and rabbis, from Germany, from China, from India. When they visit Chicago, they come to what we call the Interfaith Corner. So they appreciate this nice facilities and nice places when people are worshiping together and enjoying living with each other. There is a lot of cars already going in and out from 91st Street. We have 2 schools, Annem Jean's Elementary School and the middle school. And there is so many buses and cars in between every day and every night. We have hundreds of Burr Ridge residents who are crossing this intersection for many reasons and leaving from there. In the food pantry that we serve weekly over 170 families. Actually, we had a board meeting tonight and I asked them to excuse me so I can attend here. We serve over 170 families with about 150 cars. Most of them are elderly people and single mothers. And so we are putting a lot of risk in our area, in our nice place, in our nice facility, and we strongly oppose the establishment of this project, and the decision decision should possess a significant risk to the safety and well-being of our children, elderly people, youth, and our places of worship, schools, and the community at large. We must prioritize the safety and the educational environment of our students and the peace of our community. So please, please, protect our neighborhood and say no to this project. Thank you.
I'm going to let our truck driver friend who's been helpful speak at this point.
Hi, my name's Dave.
Hello, Dave.
I'm a 53-year resident. I live about 3 blocks from this site. And
Could I have your last name,
major
please?
problem
Dave,
is
we need your last name.
Lilja, L-I-L-J-A. The major problem is my community doesn't even know about this. We don't keep track of Burr Ridge business. I was tipped off today about the situation. I do read the stuff on the patch and all that. I've been kind of following it. The big problem with this whole thing is, first of all, you have 91st Street. When you make your right turn onto 91st and make your left, you're going to cause a traffic jam there because you cannot get traffic going east. Number two, it's the exact opposite. The station is going to be a draw from I-55. They're going to draw the trucks, so now we're going to have increased traffic coming in, and there's already too much traffic on 83 as there is. So when they say they're trying to draw trucks from north and south, that's really not true, because when you run out of fuel, you're looking at your phone, finding a place for diesel, so actually that's going to draw even more traffic, and we just can't have that, and it doesn't benefit the community at all. What benefit does this station have for our community? Nothing. We've survived without it all these years. We don't need it now. So I would prefer that it doesn't get built.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. I was being very persistent.
You've been persistent.
I
yes.
was.
And please tell us your name.
Colleen McCormack. So I came here as a resident, a member of the school board for District 180 and Jeans and Burr Ridge Middle, and also a realtor for 25 years serving Burr Ridge. Of all three of those, the most important is being a school board member for our kids. Burr Ridge kids deserve to walk to school safely. And there is a huge population of kids that have to go, either they cut through the area you're talking about, or they walk in front of it, or they walk aside it on 83 to junior school. They're gonna pass right by it. There's questionable activities that we've all heard about at these truck stops. I wouldn't want my child walking past that, who might on an end of a day with their buddies stop in and get a soda or a snack. I wouldn't want it. But they're asking us to put our kids in that position where they might pass by it and might stop. It's not necessary. They deserve to be safe. It's 1,000 feet. This proposal is 1,000 feet from the elementary school. 1,000. That's it. Those are innocent little kids. Again, I don't see that this is a good thing for our schools and our children. As a realtor, we spoke to it earlier, I sold last year 411, which literally backs up to the site they're talking about. We had to drop the price because they didn't know what was going to go in behind it. At that point, what do you think is going to happen now when you say, okay, I'm going to sell my place, but now I got a truck stop behind me? The value inevitably is going to be going down for not only those particular residents, for everybody around it, myself included. I'm half a mile away. It's going to affect us. We in South Burr Ridge have our own challenges for our property values to begin with. It's another layer that we would have to go across just to sell our homes when we have this in front of us. And as a resident, you spoke to it earlier, safety is a big issue right now. I live off of 87th and Madison. I had my car broken into. My son's car was broken into. It wasn't like we were being foolish. It just happened. We're going to add yet another level of somewhat safety issues when we don't need to. I hope you'll take all those things into consideration.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Come on. Ladies first.
Hi, my name is Kutsia Khan. I live at 701 Povan Call in Burr Ridge.
Get her name?
Kutsia Khan. I live very close to 91st and Madison, so I am constantly driving on 91st Street to cross Kingery, but I try to avoid it because of all the traffic that is at that specific intersection. As you guys mentioned in the meeting, you guys said trucks aren't allowed to go on 91st. We've seen the signs, but that is in no way, shape, or form ever controlled. I daily drive behind trucks on Madison going westbound and eastbound many times in the day. And as everybody has mentioned, the school is 1,000 feet away from this proposed truck stop. Even closer to that, my son goes to preschool at the Mecca Center. So even closer than 1,000 feet, you have 2 to 5-year-olds that are going for nursery school in the mosque nearby. I would be very, very, very concerned if there was a truck stop right there. Not only that, right now in that plaza, there is a grocery store that sells fresh food, fresh meat, and other items like diapers, baby formula. We have some, Section 8 housing residents that live in the area. Taking that away would actually create a food desert for them. For people who don't have access to cars, where are they gonna go for fresh groceries? Where are they gonna go if they run out of formula? What happens if Walgreens is closed? Closes early on Sundays sometimes. It's a huge risk to the community, to really people who live under food scarcity. And I know most of our Burr Ridge residents don't have to deal with that, luckily, but we do have to acknowledge that we do have a lot of residents that do have to face those challenges. And we should be here protecting those people and their access to food.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hani Atasi. I'm a resident of Burr Ridge. I'm also serve as the president of the Mecca Center as well. I'm not going to talk about traffic. I'm going to talk about actually human trafficking. According to National Human Trafficking Resource Center, that is the Polaris Project, and I'm happy to share with you this article. And this article actually talks, and it's actually the title of it is Sex Trafficking at Truck Stops at a Glance. And actually, I'm going to quote stats from their hotline. In 2011, the National Human Trafficking Resource Center received 185 calls from callers who self-identified as truckers. Over 50% of these calls referenced human trafficking tips or crisis cases. And they even mentioned and common terms they used at truck stops referencing commercial sex, right? Commercial company, commercial date, bank, bunny, women, and that meaning women or girls engaging in commercial sex at truck stop. I just want to remind you with one thing. The name of the developer is QT. Thank you.
Not you. You'll be next. Mom of our pledge people.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good
Please
afternoon.
identify. Good evening. Identify yourself, please.
Michelle Cruz, CRUZ, 9030 Skyline Drive, Burr Ridge. To follow up the gentleman who just spoke, I'm here to protect our children. Again, the school is within very close proximity of this gas station that's being proposed. My biggest concern is you're talking about small children who are experiencing new things in the world. They depend on adults, they depend on their families, on their parents to know what's wrong from right. We know that there's a lot of activity that goes into these types of facilities, and having small children in that close of a vicinity is very dangerous. Again, as a mom, I would be very scared to have my children walk by. Again, if they want to go in, walk by and buy something, you don't know who they can encounter, who they have interaction with, and that's scary as a parent. You don't need that type of business in that type of community. We have schools, this is a safe community where that type of service is not needed. If you go more south on Route 83, there's lots and miles of areas where you can do this type of facility and have no impact to any type of homes or personal property. I just don't understand why you would focus on a two-lane road where you're trying to make this trucks go in and out. It just makes no sense at all. And I'm a new resident moving in June, so this is concerning to me. And this is my first time here, and I wanted to just come with my children. Like, these are the type of people that are going to be impacted mostly by this, like the little children. So I really hope this gets rejected, denied, and it gets moved somewhere else.
Okay. Now, I did promise this young lady she could speak. Again, is there anybody in the room that's in favor of the project? So I'm a quick study. That probably means all of you that are here that are not for another item are against it. If the board tells me they're going to need more comment before they're willing to vote, I'll take it. But I think we're going to hear from one, and then two more people. Linda, you spoke at the last time. I think you had and we know you're against it. But you did get your time. So I'll let two more people. I'll let a Linda speak since she's also an elected official, and Sir there. After those three, I'll ask the board if they need more information. But I do want everybody to get their names on the list so that we can make it record.
Hi, I'm Dr. Donna Alkhaled, Al-Khaled. I'm a Burridge resident in Falling Flowers on 91st. And I first actually want to applaud the board on their original decision of opposing this truck stop. This is a reflection of prioritizing the health and safety of your residents and voters over the financial interests of a corporation. And that is a legacy to be proud of. So I would love to see that continue to be upheld. I'm going to make this very quick and actually offer a public health standpoint because that's where my opposition comes from as a practicing physician in this community. And I love stats and I love data, so I just want these on for the record. In relation to the motor vehicle accidents and trauma are the second leading cause of death in children under the age of 19 in the United States. And they are called accidents because they are unintentional. They are accidents because they accidentally turn into a lane because they did not see the sign, because a traffic stop was faulty. And that is putting our children at unacceptable risk. The second issue is exacerbation of chronic health diseases. I'm really glad there was mention of having that fuel in the area. One, yes, for our children with asthma, that is absolutely a trigger. But I also want to keep in mind the elderly in our community. We have residents in our community who are lung cancer survivors, who have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, who depend on home oxygen, and they reside right across the street in the Burridge Senior Living Facility. And this is a unduly burden for them. And third, quickly, the food desert. Absolutely, 90% of students at Ann M. Jeans and Burridge Middle School depend on free lunch programs. Taking away healthy options from that plaza means these children are much less likely to come home to healthy options that are imperative to their mental and physical well-being. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Dr. Talal Sanbuli, S-U-N-B-U-L-L-I.
Did you get that? No, you have to go slower.
Okay. Talal Sanbuli, S-U-N in Nancy, B-U-L-L-I. I've been a resident of Burridge since 1979. I have 5 children being raised in Burridge. Went to the schools in Burridge and the high school. I have my children got married and they came back to Burridge. So we have a history of being in Burridge for 45 years. I go across the street of the Kingery Road from 91st East to 91st West at least 4 to 6 times a day. So I know the traffic, I know the light, I know how long it takes to make a left turn from 91st to Kingery, and the hazard is there. If we put in mind that there is 4 religious entities, Christians and Muslims, we could realize that Sunday and Friday will be especially significantly more traffic that make it very hazardous for any truck to be added to the situation. Add to it on Ramadan, 30 months. There is heavy traffic in the evening for 30 days. So we're really putting ourselves to a significant problem. And I'm glad to hear all of you are opposing, but we are going to push as much as we can because it's unrealistic and shouldn't be done. And I understand the IDOT and so forth, but they're human, and humans do mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Linda Painter. I am president of Timberlake Civic Association. I represent 780 homes in Timberlake. And I understand I don't live in Burridge, and I've never addressed you before,
So I think this is a really important thing, and I appreciate your listening to me. You did an awesome job of covering 90% of what I wanted to say. So just a couple things. When I was at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting a week and a half ago, the chairman of the zoning board and the guy next to him kept shaking their heads, looking. You don't have the plan up there anymore, but how is a truck, that's what they kept saying, how is a truck that's coming south on Route 83, or north or whatever, gets into there, goes through the gas pumps, how do they make that turn within that tiny little area with a convenience store in the middle and all this, and parking spots for cars? There's 49 parking spots. How would they even begin to get through to get to 91st Street? That's what they kept asking, and I don't think they got an answer. As a Forest Preserve Commissioner for this area, I've always tried to get connector paths. We finally did. 91st Street, and many of you probably don't even know this, 91st Street is part of the Southern DuPage Regional Trail System, and it takes your residents from County Line Road down 91st Street to Clarendon Hills Road and takes it up and goes down 75th Street, and it zigzags all the way through, and we, the Forest Preserve and the county, are working together to make a pathway for residents to get from southeast to northwest part of the county. So that does involve your residents. And we talked
Being
about
recorded, by the way.
Talked about that. And then I did meet with Evan, and we talked about most of the things. But the thing that came up was that he told me that you didn't want any modification to the median strip. And they're doing that by making a left-hand turn from the south and turning into the facility. Now, what he also told me was, generally speaking, the Quick Trip is going to take care of customers going southbound, and Thornton's is going to take care of customers going northbound. So there should be no turning on Route 83 over the median strip, no crossing over at 91st Street, and we talked about the pork chop. That's what we're all in favor of, the pork chop. But that was pretty much all I wanted to know, or let you know, that are different than the other parts that you've already addressed. Thank you very much, and I support voting no.
Thank you.
Can I give this to you? This is a copy of the resolution that the board decided to oppose, that we signed and resolution.
Yeah, I'll give that to.
Email to you, but just in case.
Yeah, well, this is only, we'll make this of record. This is the resolution of Community Consolidated School District 180 in opposition to Quick Trip zoning relief in DuPage County zoning petition C-23022. We'll make that part of the record.
Forgot to give that to you.
I think we've heard the general story. I think petitioners should be given an opportunity to make a statement or answer any questions that any of the board members have. You have a question?
There's a high school board member here that would like to speak, and I think we should let her.
Okay, we can do one more. Who's from the high schools? Who's from the school board?
No. Okay.
No? We got the school board.
Okay.
Local.
All right.
Okay. All right. You guys want to add anything at this point?
The only thing I would try to go through on this is the zoning. I guess I don't know how far back to take it. The zoning as it currently exists, what we're asking for on the zoning change, is already an inexisting business. It's a technicality that the zoning map was never made in conformity with. I think you've heard testimony from at least 10 people who have stated it's used for a grocery store and that there are businesses there. So I think we're all in agreement that it is not residential.
which goes to the first part of what our request was. In that first meeting that we did with the ZBA, we had a proposal where there were a number of variances. Now, if you can allow me just a moment just to go
Sure.
through it. In that first meeting, this is part of the confusion when you're in front of both a county and a municipality, because it's almost a servant of two masters. Not everyone is very familiar with zoning law, including attorneys who don't practice it. But a number, for those of you who, all of you have seen it before initially, our variances were pulling it away from the residential section. Okay, the goal was to bring it further away from the residents. At that first meeting and on that meeting of record, the residents made it very clear they did not want those variances. So we have essentially gone back to our as of right proposal. The one variance and the sole variance that we are coming to before is one that has been essentially recommended by IDOT. So another, again, jurisdiction is asking that we do it for a safety reason as it relates to the southern edge, exactly. And if you were to follow that westbound, you will notice that the developments as well to the west follow that same lot line and those similar variations. It's a safety requirement. It's something that was pertaining to an IDOT-controlled area. The comment regarding the intersections and the turn lanes. This goes with the acceleration lanes. I don't have to point that out. The deceleration discussions, the entryway, pork chops, all of these items, other than the pork chop, were essentially imposed on us or strongly urged at the urging of IDOT. So we've done our best to meet those requirements, and we've done our best to take into account Burr Ridge's objections to meet those requirements as well. Effectively, we are at a point where we have taken your objections that were listed on there and addressed all but one, which was modified, and we believe that we have followed it by adding the pork chop, which will essentially stop anyone from turning westbound from the egress to the north. Again, that was something that at the first meeting, it was not on the record, but there were discussions that we had with some of the community members explaining that if you turn out, or if you are a resident from the west, you would not be able to turn. I know I've elaborated that point, so I don't want to continue belittling it. The only item that I would suggest here is that we essentially are directionless from the municipality in that the county has asked us how we are looking to zone it, which is essentially a gas station. And there is a distinction that the community members are attempting to make between what type of gas station, which does not exist at the county level. There is no distinction between whether a truck fills up for gas or a vehicle fills up for gas, a passenger vehicle. And so that is, it may seem like a distinction without a difference, but it is a difference here because we have to follow the county code and not that of Burr Ridge's. So we're doing our best to accommodate the request. We feel we are being good corporate neighbors. And the only other item that, and there's no delicate way to put this, but the owners and the tenants that are in this mall are operating, again, as businesses, but they are tenants. So I need to make clear that it's not necessarily, hey, they're putting a development in here and that's what's getting rid of it. Effectively, they are at the landlord's mercy here. The landlord could simply non-renew and we would be in the same exact scenario as well. So I just want to make clear there are a lot of moving parts, and the last of which is that the very use that the existing businesses are on that corner were court ordered. So we have already had this issue come in 40-something years ago. It's at least 36 when it was built, based on the aerial photos. We believe it goes over 40 years just based on the legislative history of the litigation. But it's been over 40 years, and we feel with the trend and with the development that you've seen on Route 83, most people are not looking to add residential. Furthermore, this area was never included with the subdivision to the west, and likely because no one wants to be on Route 83. So effectively, we are in a catch-22 of we can't put a development here because of the residents to the west, but the residents, or the developer, I should say, I don't want to say the residents, but the developer of that community also did not go to the east to foreclose that from occurring. So the only thing that I would ask is if the village would at least give us some guidance or put in the record, or however they vote, of what they are looking to see so that we can take that back to the county or IDOT or whichever governing jurisdiction to say this is what we're looking to do. Obviously, we respectfully request approval, but, and with that, I know Andrew has a few items he'd like to add.
Sure. Andrew?
Thank you. I did just want to kind of clarify the point. We talked about it at the beginning, the discrepancies between the plan that we've shown Burr Ridge versus the county. And like you've said, clearly, this is all public record. This is recorded. There can't be any, well, we told you one thing, but we decided to do another thing. But I just want to kind of clarify again that the whole reason why we have one plan that's submitted that has been following the county's guidance, as we meet with you and we have these discussions, whatever changes come of those, we will resubmit to the county, provide you a copy of it to make sure you see it. We just want to make sure that we're not submitting 2, 3, 4, 5 different plans to the county. That will just cause confusion and on all ends, and who knows what gets approved with that. Absolutely appreciate everyone's feedback, everyone's time. I know that everyone has other things that they could be doing tonight, but I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time for us. I do invite you to modify your objection as what would make you comfortable to see this project go forward. If that is further modifications beyond what we've agreed to do, I would absolutely entertain any and all of those. And just so long as it doesn't completely, dissolve our brand or anything like that. But, we are open to further modifications. We want to be a good corporate citizen. We want to work with you. So if there are further modifications you'd like to see, please raise those. And you can enter those as conditions upon your objection. And if we choose not to meet those, then we would go forward as planned.
Okay, thank you. Want to start it? I don't go around the board. If somebody wants to speak, they can. So if someone wants to speak, Joe?
Mr. Attorney got up in front and said, well, first, the residents said they didn't want to pull back. Well, I don't see a group here that wanted it there at all. So I guess I'm kind of curious on that. Second of all, and if going forward, and anything that's been talked about today, it's a good project, and by what they believe in, then there shouldn't really be an issue if we decide that we stay like we are, because they're going to get their supermajority anyway, and it's not our decision. We're not in control of IDOT. We're not in trying to Cook County. So we can do the best we can for our village residents. But other than that, this whole project, our hands are tied to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
I'm going to have some comments also. Yes?
I agree with the residents. Thank you all for coming out and expressing your views. I think it's very important. I feel that this is a residential area. We have a school in the area. We have places of worship. We have a senior living facility. And as it is, there's a significant amount of traffic, but it's all cars. Trucks and cars really don't mix well, and pedestrian traffic does not mix well with trucks at all. So I don't think we have room for a quick trip in our neighborhood.
Russ?
I understand the importance of trucks. We need trucks. They brought our chairs here, our clothes. I understand that. I don't think this is the right place for a truck stop. I've accidentally drove into a truck stop on Route 53 in Laraway. And as a driver, I've been driving for about 30 years. It was scary trying to maneuver and get out of that truck stop back onto the road with all of the trucks. And I particularly don't care for the confusion between DuPage County and us. I mean, this should be a pretty straightforward petition. We've looked at many of these petitions that people were able to deliver the same consistent message between us and other zoning boards. I don't think this is a good spot for this particular use. To me, it doesn't do anything for Burr Ridge, and I oppose it.
Nothing frustrates a plan commissioner, a zoning board of appeals member, or a board member than trying to hit a moving target with this plan a plan with 5 spaces, a plan with 10 spaces, and I understand that you're trying to minimize the confusion, but there's confusion out there, and it's not our doing. You mentioned that you addressed all of the objections that were in our letter from back in June. But there's still one objection you haven't addressed, and that's the truck fueling objection we had. Truck fueling adds a level of intensity to this development that is seen nowhere else up and down Route 83 in the near vicinity, nor in Burr Ridge. This is too intensive a use for this small parcel, and that's why I oppose it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. As I said before, I usually never vote. I haven't voted since I was a mayor, first elected in 2005. Just some observations in order to give some direction and make some observations as to what's happened here tonight. First and foremost, Darien didn't take a position, which means they didn't weigh in with the county, and if they didn't weigh in, that meant that there was going to be a majority vote. Willowbrook didn't weigh in. Burr Ridge weighed in. Okay, and we did that. We did that because we had objections. Now, Andrew, in order to give you a little direction from what I've heard tonight, certainly the port job would be a big thing when you go to the county level. Certainly, I think you heard that all the way around here and that turn. The parking, making sure it's zero, that's another big thing. But left turn going northbound is still troubling all of us, how you deal with that. The acceleration lane coming out of there, for the life of me, I don't know why IDOT hasn't weighed in on that. So those are things I think when you talk about the plan that I think you're going to have to address. But I think what you're hearing here from the board and the residents is what you're planning to be. Your business is a great business. You're right. It's all over the place. Every time I go up to Wisconsin, I see Quick Trip or all over the place. And maybe it's not the same company, but it's, you're a successful business. But it is the truck fueling that I think what you're hearing tonight is the big issue. Whether people want to say it's bad for people with asthma, it's bad for kids, it's the traffic that it's going to create for A&M Jeans and the Mecca Center. I think it's the nature of your business that is the objection at this site, not the nature of your business in general. And so, I'm going to predict that we're not going to modify our position, but I think eventually you have to go to the county board anyhow. But I do stress to the people here, those that do not live in Burr Ridge, this is why you should live in Burr Ridge. Ask the people around Saya. When we, for years, from here, told them to please come into the village so you don't get a 24/7 truck depot. Well, they wouldn't come into the village until after it became a 24/7 truck depot and cut their property values substantially. So there is a reason to be in a municipality, whether it's Willowbrook, Darien, Burr Ridge, or whatever. You don't have the same rights when you deal with the county. And that is still a piece of property. Someone made the point that there's no residential proposed up and down 83. Something will go there if this doesn't. And the only way you protect yourself better is to be in a municipality. And Linda's heard me say that many, many times, especially for her Timber Lake and 789 homes over there, right? So that's my little pulpit speech for tonight. Well, we'll see what's in it for us, but we should have that discussion. Anyhow, with all of that said, do you want to make a final point?
Yes,
Sure.
Absolutely. So,
sure.
Just to your latest comments here. Our business is the convenience store business. We've got over 1,000 units across the nation. Not every single one of our stores has truck diesel. We see an opportunity here because there's a lack of offer for that. There are 4,000 trucks a day on 83 per IDOT's traffic map. However, you can modify your objection to say, if there is no truck diesel, we will lift our objection. And I can take that back to corporate and ask the question, and then we can go forward one of two ways, or one of three ways.
That isn't before us tonight. That wasn't put, and it would be unfair for me to ask the trustees to weigh in on something and not give proper notice
Then that
to
can,
the communities.
then that can be
I
addressed.
hear what you're saying, but I don't think that that's an issue that we can take up tonight. This was all about truck fueling tonight, okay? And just so, I want to be clear, I guess, so let's tell the public this. Are you saying your major business is C-store, which in the vernacular is convenience stores, whether it's gas station or truck fueling?
Yes, I mean, the majority of our stores do not have truck diesel.
Okay, so Quick Trip is in the C-store business that happens to also offer gas and car washes and things like that.
Right, we don't have car washes right now. We're getting into that business. We have a handful, but it's not like a standard part of our offer.
Right.
So we have stores like this where we just have our convenience store building and our gas canopy.
Well, this board's going to do what you've asked us to do, and that is put this on the agenda and have a hearing, and then the board's going to decide what it wishes to do. At your next level, if you modify your proposal to the county, we may well weigh in again. And maybe Darien or Willowbrook will too. But tonight, the issue is the plan that was before us, and I just...
No, I completely understand. I'm just making sure that I keep the conversation alive.
Deal with that. Okay. With that said, and then, so Mike, would you help me on some procedure
Yes, we
here?
do need to deal with the topic on the agenda, and that is whether the board would consider directing staff to prepare a resolution to modify the village's prior objection. A simple motion to direct staff to modify the prior objection, and a majority no vote on that will put an end to that request to modify, which, if I can check the pulse of this board, it seems like that's the way it's going. So I'm going to suggest the simplest end of this process is somebody move to direct staff to prepare a resolution to modify the village's prior objection without even going into any details what those modifications would be.
And if that doesn't pass, then what's the
If that
end?
doesn't pass, then you're back to how would you modify it?
What if there's no motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second.
The way I phrased it, okay.
The motion is to direct staff to prepare a resolution modifying the village's objection to the DuPage County zoning case, zoning 2322, Quick Trip Store, 7311 DuPage County, 9200 South Kingery Highway, and 10 South, 410 South 83. We have a movement and a second. We've had discussion at the board level. Any further discussion at the board level? Yes, Joe?
Andrew, thank you. You said that you captured 4,000 trucks go up and down Route 83.
No, I said that IDOT's traffic map shows that there's 4,000 trucks a day.
IDOT's map goes up, but we're only going to get 192 at your station to fill.
And it's the same.
Eight per hour, times 24 hours a day, it'd be 192. But IDOT says there's 4,000 trucks that go up and down. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, yes, Al?
You had a motion and a second to modify, but I'm sure a lot of these people would like to know what the modification is going to include.
Well, that's if it passes.
That's if it
I
passes.
think it's not going to pass, so that's why I jumped ahead to
There's a
that.
motion to modify that passes. If a motion to modify passes, then we're going to have to get into specifics.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, procedure does require me to say, is there any public comment? But I've really heard all the public comment. So I'm not going to say no, but I'm asking you that you should read the room. And so does anybody want to make a public comment? All right, ma'am, you've already spoken. Okay, you want to speak? Come on up. Please identify yourself and spell your last name slowly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Akras, A-K-H-R-A-S. I'm a resident of Burr Ridge for almost 20 years. I live on 91st and just east of Madison in the Devon Ridge subdivision. I'm also running for Illinois State Rep for District 82. This is district. So this issue is really near and dear to my heart because I live in this district and I wholeheartedly oppose this modification. No matter how much you modify, whether you take a little bit here, you take a little bit there, it's still going to be a truck stop, no matter what you do in the modification. And also something that I haven't heard anyone say anything about this, but in terms of coming over from I-55 on Cass Avenue, and you come towards 91st, and you take a left, which is east, on 91st. Now you're passing all of the residential area, coming to Clarendon Hills Road, down to 91st to the truck stop. So have we even thought about what kind of traffic that would create from the other side, not just from the Kingery side, that there would be trucks coming in from the other side where there's the forest preserve, the apartment buildings, the NMGs, the housing, the Mecca Center, the food pantries, the medical, there's the medical clinic, free clinic that happens at NMGs. All of those coming from Cass Avenue. I've not heard this, what kind of pork chop or lamb chop or anything like that that will prevent, I don't eat pork, so I'm gonna say lamb chop. So
right.
That will prevent the traffic coming in from Cass Avenue, and no one has mentioned that. And it's still, no matter what modifications
Are you saying Cass Avenue down 91st Street?
Yes.
No
from the
trucks are
highway.
allowed down 91st Street?
Well, they still come.
Okay.
So, thank you.
One last comment, please. Sure. You can come on up and ask a question. You have to identify yourself.
I am Dr. Nouri Al-Khaled. I'm an interventional cardiologist.
Please spell your last name.
A as in Apple, L as in Larry, hyphen, K as in Kevin, H as in Harry, A as in Apple, L as in Larry, E as in Edward.
Thank you.
And I live in Falling Water subdivision, so I am a Burr Ridge resident. I am not a lawyer, and I don't understand the word modify, but I understand the word that it did not pass. But is there a chance?
No,
that
they have not voted
We haven't
yet.
voted yet.
Oh, but is there a chance that you could add to not pass, that not to come back again? Because every time we need to come here, it gets 3 hours of our time.
No, this is America. They can come back again.
They can come back all the time.
Yeah.
All right, I am sorry. The only ones who don't come back are the dead children when a truck hits them on 91st Street.
Okay. So that's enough public comment, but one more, that's it. Okay, one more.
If you think you're going to change a vote, go right ahead.
My name is Paul Coltrap, and I'm the supervisor for Downers Grove Township.
Coultrap.
And there are some advantages to being unincorporated, but we'll get into that some other day.
Very few.
Just wanted to touch base on the 91st Street issue. And I believe the last 60 feet of 91st Street is IDOT's. The rest of it would be ours, so a good portion of that would be, and it is still a 5-ton, all the way through, it is still a 5-ton road, from my understanding. So you do still have the issue of those big semis, and the township would end up having to redo the roads quite a bit with those heavier trucks. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, and we've had discussion at the board level and at the public comment. Roll call, please.
The motion is to direct staff to modify the prior objection.
Trustee Francis?
No.
Trustee Schiappa?
No.
Trustee Pavesa?
No.
Trustee Snyder?
No.
Trustee Matal?
No.
Trustee Smith?
No.
6-0. There will be no modification of the village. Okay, you can all go.
Thank you.
All right, yeah.
So that's some business here. I know.
We're talking about that other guy with the gate and all that. What was it?
It shouldn't be rezoned
It was an
decision.
Unanimous to deny.
5 years
Unanimous
ago,
to
or
approve.
whatever.
Just like Surgeonics. Oh, yeah.
It just didn't change its map form based on that.
I like to keep track of.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Never overridden a unanimous decision.
Do we get,
Yeah, is there a second sheet?
where's the other pad? Who's got the other pad?
I have the other pad.
Okay.
I have it right here.
That's the only names we got? Oh, there's another sheet.
It doesn't belong to
You know how fast that traffic goes on 83?
Want to give those to
Yeah.
the
I
clerk?
might need those.
Well, now you gotta go to
Yeah.
county.
Okay.
Just photocopy and put it in the.
I can find another place. There's plenty of other
More than that.
places, not in.
Okay.
Okay, then they should go there.
Oh, that's your blue pen?
I have this and I have this. Wait a minute.
Really nice.
These screwed up.
Yes.
We're not doing closed session tonight.
No? Okay.
It's already 9 o'clock.
Evan might have taped the other one. He just said it
Well,
was.
Mr. Porkchop.
So he just said I didn't have to, so we'll have to check
You
after
should
this.
ask.
Everyone loves Gary as the mayor. He's so friendly.
Okay, one more. Okay,
6
more. Okay.
Okay, 12 more.
The fact that the one messed up,
We come to order, please.
to not do it at all. Ouch.
There's gotta be a 7 game tomorrow.
Shut the door.
Okay.
One of the doors.
That takes us to the next item on the agenda, 8C. Consideration of Mayor Grasso's recommendation to form an ad hoc CNH committee. Here's what I'm requesting of the board. After meeting with residents from Fieldstone and taking calls and comments from others similar to probably what all of you have experienced, and probably because we're not going to have an early November meeting, I'd ask you to give me the authority tonight to form an ad hoc committee for, a CNH ad hoc committee to consider what the residents would like to see there and also what is also possibly feasible there, given CNA's right to sell the property and for the amount of money it wants for that property. But I think, we had an ad hoc committee for the Village Center. We have one now for TCF, and this is 110 acres. So it probably is easily the biggest piece of property we're ever going to develop in the village that's left. And so I'd like to be able to appoint, you don't have to do it tonight, but I probably want one, if not two, of you from the trustees. Probably for two reasons. I'm going to ask Greg Krupek for two reasons. One, he's the chairman of the PC, and two, he lives in Fieldstone. Now I'm going to ask him, but he probably, knowing Greg, he'll probably agree. There are other residents that have spoken to me from Fieldstone. I've gotten a solicitation from Carriageway, and I believe from the Burr Ridge Club too, and there might be others around. But I see a committee of about 9 to 11. I mean, we can't make it too big, but somewhere between 9 to 11. But I'd ask for the authority from the village trustees to form and appoint an ad hoc CNH committee. Any questions? Yes.
So I've served on subcommittees in the past, and typically residents apply for these subcommittees. The mayor makes recommendations to the board, and the board approves the appointments. Is that the process we're going to follow?
No, I'm asking to just let me
Appoint
decide and let you guys know who's out there. Ask amongst the six of you, maybe all six of you want to be on it, but I'd probably pick two of you. I'd run all the names by each of you for any recommendations of others that would be. Otherwise, if you want to go through the process, it'll take probably another month or so, given the meeting schedule, before we get a committee.
You answered my question, thank you.
Okay.
So this would be it would not be a subcommittee, it would be an ad hoc committee.
Yes, ad hoc.
That's the distinction, thank you. And I would be willing to serve on this committee, thank you.
Can I get a consensus? I don't think do we need a motion?
Yeah, I would prefer that somebody move and have a second, that the mayor have the authority to appoint, to establish an ad hoc committee and to appoint the members of that committee not to exceed 11.
I think
12, round number?
12, round number?
10, round number?
12?
We need
Let's
an
just
odd
say
number.
12.
We need an
Okay.
odd number? No?
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, well,
That
up
may
to
be
12.
your committee,
Right,
so.
right. You may have your own subcommittee.
I'm just
Up
suggesting
to
you may
12.
want an odd number.
Yeah, because for a vote.
You know,
Good point.
for a vote.
Yeah.
Thank you. Never mind.
So let's say 11. It's football season. Okay?
Yep.
So I'm asking for authority to, and a motion to give me the authority to form an ad hoc CNH committee with at least 2 trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any comment from the public? If you can do this voice vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
That committee's going to be operated by the Open Meetings Act, so
Yeah.
post your committee meetings, agendas, and minutes.
Okay, that'll take us to number 9, public comment. Does anybody have any public comment on any item, even if it's not on the agenda? All right, reports and for the record, no public comment. That takes us to 10, reports and communications. Anita?
Yes. Second. Well, we just finished the Taste of Burr Ridge, and for Halloween, Officer Mark Strapson represented the village of Burr Ridge at Trunk or Treat at the Adolph Funeral Home. A Burr Ridge police car was decorated festively for Halloween, and we manned the trunk full of candy as children trick-or-treated and climbed through the back seat and took pictures with Officer Strapton. The event was open to the public from 3 to 5. Our last DMV event for 2023 is going to be on Wednesday, November 15th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Deck the Green is on Friday, November 17th, from 5 to 7. And that should be all for this year, but we hope you all have a very safe and fun holiday season. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
The Cook County Highway Department is considering modifying Wolf Road from 79th Street North to Plainfield Road. And they've been asking for public comment over the time period. They've also formed a Citizens Advisory Committee, and Burr Ridge is given the opportunity to participate in that Citizens Advisory Committee with 3 members. But because of the public need for further input, they've enlarged that committee now to 5 members. So we're looking for residents, 2 residents that would like to serve on the Citizens Advisory Committee, preferably that live in Cook County, preferably that live near or on Wolf Road, who could advise and make recommendations to the Cook County Highway Department. I'm currently serving on that with, as well as Evan Walter and Dave Prysick, our village engineer.
Well, we're still looking for 2 more residents.
We are now looking for 2 more residents. The county has said you can add 2 more residents just recently, and we're now looking for 2 residents to volunteer to serve on this important subcommittee,
Right.
advisory committee.
I
Thank you.
know former trustee Krella reached out and wants to offer his services.
Sure.
So we'll follow up with that.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, Halloween's coming. Everybody have a safe Halloween. I think, what are we, 3 to 8? 3 to 8, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And keep the children safe. It's not going to be too dark. Has anybody seen, what are these 25 feet skeletons? Or is that the newest rage? I saw 2 of them on the north end of Burr Ridge. It scared me. And I've
Come to
seen them
my
now.
neighborhood.
Yeah, and
They're
I've
all
seen
over
them
the
now
place.
in Hinsdale. So, you know, I still don't get Halloween, but a lot of people have a lot of fun. So, yes,
Also, annual brush pickup started today,
yeah.
and so get your brush out on the parkway according to the rules that are listed on the website, and that goes throughout the entire week
Okay.
until the village has been all the streets have been served.
On Friday, November 3rd, Pella Signature is going to have a formal ribbon-cutting opening and be officially open as of November 3rd. I have no other comments. I'm advising the board there's no need tonight, given the late hour and the hard work we put in this evening, to go into closed session. Issue that we needed to discuss, we can do another time. I'll put it on the agenda another time. It's not a dire thing. So I'm going to suggest that we have a motion to adjourn to November 13, 2023, with the likelihood that I'll be canceling that meeting. And there'll be another one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.